I want to take some time now to talk about feelings that can be associated with urges to molest children or to view child pornography, or even just sexual interest in children. If you look online, you can see posts and writings and videos by people who have had this problem. And one of the things that is very common is this sense of feeling so alone, so monstrous. And certainly society can, particularly certain parts of society can, the way they treat child molesters on television, the way they throw words around like predator and monster, it's very easy to fall into the trap of seeing yourself that way. It's, I think, critical, not just for your own mental health, but also in terms of protecting children, that you don't allow yourself to feel this way about yourself. As I said earlier, first of all, you were not born this way. Some people feel like that was the case, but in my experience, most of the guys that I've ever met have said that they were originally interested in peers, and as they grew up, their interests did not. And therefore something was happening to them along the way that was stunting their development when it comes to sexual interest. What that means is this isn't something you brought on yourself. It's not something that is your fault. Certainly the actions that you choose are your responsibility. But people don't wake up one morning and say, gee, I think I'll start to become interested in kids. It does tend to have a profoundly negative effect on how you look at yourself. But I can tell you also that of the numbers of guys that I have ever met, the ones who were able to overcome this in terms of not falling into feeling like a monster were the ones who didn't believe that about themselves before they molested children or before they developed the interest. In other words, if you had a good self-image, if you knew that you had self-worth before you had this problem, there's a far better chance of overcoming it. If you already were teased and taunted like so many of my guys that I've worked with were, then it's much harder to see yourself in a different light because that's what you already believed. You know, you were the outsider even before you were the pedophile or the predator or the molester, whatever words you want to use. So I think it's important to recognize that there's underlying issues for a lot of guys, and those things can be unrelated to the sexual interest in children. That interest becomes the latest club that people beat themselves over the head with. If it isn't things like, you know, you're a different color, you're a different weight or body type, you're the new kid, there's something weird about you, etc. Those words that bullies or even parents or other loved ones say to us tend to sink in and we tend to start using our own voices to say those things instead of the voices of the people that originally said them, and we start bashing ourselves with them. So in terms of the sense of being alone, that is one of the purposes of this course, is to help folks realize not only is there help out there, but there's also other people who need this help as well. If you go online, there are groups devoted to support folks who are trying to prevent these urges. You can look at virtuous pedophiles, for instance, which is a group that support each other in not molesting children and not giving in to those urges. There's a Project Dunkelfeld from Europe that reaches out to folks. I've seen programs in Australia that are trying to help guys before they molest. And again, that is what this course is about. So in the end, I want to offer you some encouragement. If you're reaching out for help, you've done the hardest thing, and you've shown that you have courage, and you've shown that you have a certain moral character, that this is something that you don't want to have be part of your legacy, and that's commendable. And I want you to hold on to that as you progress through this course and as you look maybe at some of these other resources I've offered, because we need for you to be able to build on your self-worth. I'm going to talk about that probably at the very end of the course. The way I use that term is a little bit different than how others use it. So if you get to the point where it seems to be too much for you, certainly call crisis intervention or whatever crisis service you have in your area. Even if you only tell them enough to get yourself the help about feeling alone or feeling desperate, it's important that you hang in there. Your life is worth it, and we want to be able to show you that. So please just give it some time and continue on with the course, and reach out to anybody that you can trust so that you don't feel so alone. Thank you.